Om Namah Shri Yatirajaya Vivekananda Suraye Satchit Sukhaswarupaya Swamine Tapaharine. Namaste everyone. In this series of videos, I thought I will take up some of Swami Vivekananda's letters and discuss them. I have gone through these letters earlier a couple of times. It was basically of interest that I went through those letters. But as I come to realize the value that Swami Vivekananda's thoughts can add into the life of an individual, I thought a lot more deliberation has to be done on Swami Vivekananda's thoughts and his advice given to all of us. So these letters of Swami Vivekananda, I wrote almost 1000 letters. So were addressed to different individuals from different countries with different backgrounds. But you know, whenever these great people write or talk, though it is meant for those individuals at that point of time, apparently, so still a large part of it is universally applicable across the globe. If you take out that personal aspect of that particular advice, so there is also an impersonal aspect behind it that is universally applicable. So it is those impersonal ideas in these letters that we would like to take up, so that we can also derive a great benefit from Swami Vivekananda's ever inspiring letters. Swamiji wrote letters to different individuals, his friends, his brother disciples, kings, with new acquaintances, with people who sought his advice. So we see a spectrum of the audience to whom Swami Vivekananda wrote these letters. Here we are going to take up some of those letters where I personally feel that they are going to be very beneficial for us. So these letters are taken from the complete works of Swami Vivekananda. I am starting with the volume 5 where we see these first letters. So the first letter was written to Shri Yajneshwar Bhattacharya, that was from Allahabad, now known as Prayagraj, on 5th January 1890. So let us go through this letter. Swamiji writes, "My dear Fakir, a word for you. Remember always, I may not see you again. Be moral, be brave, be a heart-whole man, strictly moral, brave unto desperation." So Swamiji is giving a kind of one advice for the whole of life. So emphasizing the fact that you may not see him again, but this should be remembered, that is, be moral. So this morality is one idea which we have all heard. We know it's a wonderful concept, yet the large part of humanity is sad to say that we are not yet moral. So even though sometimes we profess these great ideals, whenever there is a moment of reckoning, so there is a tendency in us to slip away from the path of morality. But this morality is the very foundation stone for that cultivation of character and spiritual development. And even in society, people always revere those who are strictly moral. So we know all this, yet there are occasions when we slip away from the path of morality. But such things we don't see in Swami Vivekananda's life. He himself was so moral and he gave a lot of importance on morality. He even asked the question, why should a man be moral? Because that morality strengthens his will. So if you want to develop that willpower, it is possible only when we have that morality. So Swamiji says, be moral, then be brave. So Swamiji never entertained cowardice. So he wanted us to be brave, face the situations though we feel like running away from them, but taking a step backward, you do not avoid any misfortune, Swamiji used to say. So be moral, be brave, be a heart whole man, strictly moral, brave unto desperation. So how moral and how brave we should be even to the last point. And he says, don't bother your head with religious theories. Don't worry too much about the theories. Cowards only sin. Brave men never. No, not even in mind. So it's the cowards who sin, not the brave men. They don't commit the sin even in their minds. Then he says, try to love anybody and everybody. This again a very important idea. Our love is so constrained, so limited to certain individuals, and we can count them on our fingers. How many people we really love? But people like Vivekananda, they loved the entire universe. The whole universe was dear to them. Whatever we see in the Advaita Vedanta, whatever we read in the Advaita Vedanta, that the whole universe is one. That idea, it's basically a theory for us. But here Swamiji says, try to love anybody and everybody. So apparently we may have to deal with different people who may require a different kind of words from us, different kind of treatment, but that is to reform them. That is, whenever we have to express our anger, we are bound to express our anger. We need to express our anger towards certain people, our children and people around us. That is fine. But even behind that, there should be love. So this love is the very fundamental idea in Swami Vivekananda's teachings. So internally we have to love anybody and everybody, and in fact he used to say that you have to send the waves of love towards all the corners of the globe. So this love, we have to really ask ourselves how much we really love people around us. And here he says, try to love anybody and everybody, because if you look at it spiritually, everybody is God himself. That is the spiritual explanation also, and that's the best we can do. And Swamiji says to remember to try to love anybody and everybody. This should be again one of the watchwords of our life. Then Swamiji says, be a man and try to make those immediately under your care, namely Ram, Krishnamayi and Indu, brave, moral and sympathizing. First he says, be a man. That is, it's not a gender specific thing, it's more of that manliness, like what a man is known for is dignity, is knowledge, is awareness, that. And Shri Guru Maharaj used to say, he alone is a man whose spiritual consciousness has been awakened. So by man it's meant we are conscious of our existence, of our immense energy, immense purity. So you first bring that consciousness or the awareness of the divinity within yourself, and then try to make those immediately under your care. In this case, he is specifying the few names, the people under him, the children under Fakirji, that is Ram, Krishnamayi and Indu. So applicable to us. So people whoever are under our immediate care, so what we must do for them, we must try to make them brave, moral and sympathizing. So whoever we are looking after, so we must make sure that those people, those children, they should be brave, moral and sympathizing. Then Swamiji says, no religion for you, my children, but morality and bravery. So most of the times we misunderstand the very idea of religion. Swamiji says, don't, he said earlier also in this letter, don't bother your head about religious theories, but what we want is that living that high ideals in life, and that is expressed in morality and bravery. So Swamiji says, but morality and bravery, and then no cowardice, no sin, no crime, no weakness. So these are the ideas: no cowardice, no sin, no crime, no weakness. That's what we should be trying to inculcate in our life. The rest will come of itself. If we do not have cowardice, if we do not sin, if we commit no crime, if we have no weakness, everything will come of itself. And then Swamiji says, and don't take Ram with you ever or ever allow him to visit a theater or any enervating entertainment, whatever. So today we see there are so many channels of entertainment, most of them have a negative effect on our mind. So Swamiji is discouraging this wrong type of entertainment which excites us for some time but eventually leads us to ruin. So there's one thing, when you bring up our children, we must make sure that they're exposed to only positive ideas. So today I see people around me, so many of them, when they want to look after their children, they cannot give them sufficient time, so they give them their mobile or a laptop or a TV, and the children, they keep on exploring things, and most of them may not be good for their mental health. Even in our own case, sometimes it's quite possible that we get into that mode of entertainment which can have a very negative effect over time. So then Swamiji, concluding part, he says again to those children, he says this again: bear in mind, my children, that only cowards and those who are weak commit sin and tell lies. So bear in mind, my children, that only cowards and those who are weak, these are the people who commit sin and tell lies. The brave are always moral. Try to be moral, try to be brave, try to be sympathizing. So these are the three words from this letter: try to be moral, try to be brave, try to be sympathizing. So today we will close with this one first letter itself. So let us pray to Swami Vivekananda that may he guide our life in the highest direction.